Chapter 7 Princess Alexis. Austin walked through yet another gate, and it closed behind him. He still had his hand upon his forehead and squinted at the scenery of the streets. He could scarcely see buildings formed in lines, all leading to the center of the island where Alexis's castle stood triumphantly. The castle was as white as snow and had beautiful maroon roofs, similar to the ones upon the Starbright clock tower. The lights in the inside rooms were off, and the castle gave no source of light. The only light was the lanterns that were placed along the streets. Since he had already had a long 8-hour sleep, he was wide awake and was not prepared to wait 8 more hours until he saw Alexis. He walked up to the massive front doors and knocked his fist upon the wood of the door. He waited. He knocked again. He could faintly hear footsteps coming to the door on the other side. The door opened and a man stood there, staring at Austin with a confused look on his face. "Do you realize what time it is, Mr. Oxley?" the man asked. "Finally, someone who recognizes me." "Well, of course I recognize you. Who wouldn't be able to recognize Austin Oxley?" "I'm sorry I arrived so late." Come in. Make yourself at home. I'm Andrew, and I will be your map for the rest of your stay. If you need me to lead you to any room, contact me." Austin walked through the massive red doors and gasped. The huge, 3-story high entryway to the castle was full of beautiful detail. The marble staircases were supported by marble pillars. Beautiful red carpet was placed in the middle of the staircases. A breathtaking chandelier composed of diamonds and encrusted with rubies hung from the arched ceiling. Painted on the ceiling was a detailed painting of all the 6 islands. Magnificent diamond light fixtures hung every 10 feet on the balconies that stretched out from each floor. "Follow me to your room," Andrew said. Austin followed Andrew up the main staircase that stretched through the center of the entry room. Then Andrew walked across the 2nd-story balcony toward one of the staircases that led to the 3rd story of the castle. He walked across the balcony on the 3rd floor and entered a hallway. He led Austin down the hallway and stopped at a large door. He grabbed the golden doorknob and turned it until it clicked. The door swung open and the lights jolted on to their full power. Austin's jaw dropped as he stared at the inside of his room. It was as large as a normal-sized house. Huge chandeliers of diamonds and rubies hung from the ceiling. An enormous bed stretched out from the far wall. Above it was a painting of Alexis that reached 15 feet in height. "Wow, she's hot," Austin said, staring at the painting. He began to remember the crush he had on her when he was a little child. He ran toward the bed and jumped on it. He lay there, waiting to fall asleep. He closed his eyes and fell into another dream. He didn't even remember if he slept at all because his dream was so long. He woke up from the seemingly never-ending dream. The room was full of light with the morning sun peering in through the windows. He yawned and stretched as far as he could. There was a knock at the door. "Come in," he said. The door opened. There was a man standing at the door. "The princess wishes to meet you for breakfast," the tall man said in a deep voice. "The princess wishes to meet you for breakfast," the tall man said in a deep voice. "Tell her I will be down in a minute." "I will tell her that, Mr. Oxley," the man said as he shut the door. Austin jumped off the bed and ran into the bathroom. He started the shower and hopped in. After his shower, he grabbed some formal clothes and threw them on. He walked out his bedroom door. He walked down the hallway, trying to hold in his excitement. When he got to the staircase, he slowly walked down. He wondered where the dining room was. "I need a map for this place," he said to himself quietly. Then he remembered. Oh, yeah, I can just contact Andrew. Then Andrew walked into the entry room. Oh, good morning, Austin. Good night's sleep? I think so. Can you lead me to the dining room? Alexis wants me to join her for breakfast. Sure thing. Just go down the third hallway, walk down the hallway, and take a left. Then take a right, and it's the second door to the right. Okay. Austin turned around. He counted the hallways, starting from the door, and took the third one. It was a very long hallway with many doors that led to many different rooms and to other hallways. He walked to the end of the hallway and took a left. This led to a shorter hallway where the only way to go was right. So he took that right. There was a door. Then about 20 feet later, there was another door. He took a deep breath. He turned the handle and opened the door. He looked up. About 10 feet away, there was a large 10 by 20 foot long table. Every 2 feet, there were plates, bowls, silverware, coffee cups, teacups, goblets, napkins, and a lot of other things. At the end of the table, there was a gorgeous woman the same age as him. It was Alexis. Her golden flocks of hair drooped down upon the thin strips of her cheery red morning gown. Austin, is it really you? She stood up from the chair she had been sitting in patiently. She lifted the ends of her long gown up from the floor and began to run slowly towards Austin. He began to run toward her too. When they reached each other, Austin firmly wrapped his arms around her. It's been years since I saw you last. I scarcely remember living with you and your family, Alexis said. You look great, Austin said, astonished at how beautifully alluring she looked. You look hotter than in the picture, he shouted accidentally. Alexis giggled. Did I just say that out loud? Austin asked. Embarrassment began to gobble him down, leaving him standing there with a dorky smile smacked upon his face, with sweat pouring down his forehead. It's all right. We haven't seen each other in more than 10 years. I think you look great yourself, Alexis said, still giggling. Sit. You can have whatever you want to eat. Austin walked over to the end of the table. Alexis walked to the other end of the table and sat down. Why do we have to sit so far away from each other? Austin asked. Alexis giggled. You're funnier than I remember. Well, I was only 5. A tall butler in his black suit walked in from the doors that led to the kitchen, interrupting their conversation. The butler walked across the floor over to where Austin sat. To eat, sir? The man said in a deep voice. Excuse me, Austin said. What do you want to eat? Oh, I'll have waffles with syrup and butter on top. Is that all, sir? Hold on, Gerald, Alexis said to the butler. Austin, don't be worried about ordering anything. Order anything you want. Well, then I'll have the waffles, a side of bacon, and an omelet. Oh, and some brambleberry toast, Austin ordered. Gerald the butler walked away from the table and into the kitchen. So how are your parents? Alexis asked after finishing her order. They're doing fine. They said for me to tell you that they say hello, Austin replied. They took so much care of us. I remember we had so much fun playing on the playground at the park every day. 5 minutes later, 2 butlers came through the kitchen doors with their arms full of dishes, which were full of food. They put the dishes in front of Austin and Alexis. A chef came through the kitchen doors and announced, "Dinner is served." Then both of the butlers left the room along with the chef. Why did he say dinner is served when we're only having breakfast? He always says that. Even when I'm only having a snack, Alexis replied. They both chuckled in an unplanned duet. After breakfast, Alexis showed Austin back to the entrance. She explained to him about the history of the castle and what was so special about the entrance. She gave him a tour of the entire castle, from the offices in the basement to the gears of the clock tower. Since the tour was very long, it was already dark out. Austin was exhausted from his travels, so he went to bed quickly. On the other hand, Alexis couldn't stop thinking about Austin.